Enjoy this Wild Soul Gathering production. I'm Dr. Sandra Marie. Pour yourself a really tall glass of spiritual curiosity and join me for the Happy Hour for the Spiritually Curious podcast. In the spirit of happy hour, cheers to some new insights, peace, revitalization, and perhaps an aha moment that may change your life. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We are gifted to have two very special guests in our studio today. Rick Hayes, a top 25 psychic medium in the U.S., and Dr. Chris Van Heijs, a gifted yoga teacher and Reiki healer. I want to welcome you guys both to the Happy Hour for the Spiritually Curious podcast.
Hi. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody.
So I want to thank you both for joining us. I wanted to start out the show and talk about a project the two of you are collaborating on that I think is very powerful. It has a lot of meaning. One of the purposes of this podcast is to put things out there that a lot of people aren't aware of. I think there's a lot of folks like us in the background that are doing really, really meaningful work. The masses a lot of times just aren't aware. I would like to start out talking about an initiative you're doing called I Am Mom. And can you share a little bit about what the project is and the conception? Rick, do you want to jump off? And then Chris, do you want to join in there?
Well, this event is, we call it a day retreat because that's what we want this event to be. It's a retreat for moms. This is specifically for moms who have experienced a passing of a child. You know, one of the hardest things in life is to have a child pass before the parent. And it's something that really makes an impact on the individual. For many years with my psychic medium sessions and there was so many times I saw so many individuals who have had a child that has passed and was going through stages of grief and experiences that many of us fortunately do not experience in our own lives. I'm a dad myself. I have 3 children. They're all adults. They're all doing well. But these individuals who have a child that suddenly has passed in some form of, it really touched me for the last several years because I had so many individuals like this that was coming and didn't know what to do, where to go and take the next step in life because there was so much grief there. So Chris and I talked, and she'll share her own personal experience at the event, but I felt really pulled spiritually and just by the individuals I spoke with. I felt really pulled to put together something for these moms that have had this experience of a child that's passed before them. I felt that we needed to bring them together. The main reason for this retreat is for these moms to get together to see that there are other moms out there that are experiencing the same that they've been experiencing. They're not in a world by themselves. There are other moms out there that knows what this feels like. For those like me who has 3 beautiful children and never experienced this, I don't know. I can see it, I can feel it, but I don't understand completely how deep of a grief this is. And I asked Chris to co-host this event with me, and we're excited about it. The retreat is going to be to heal. That's what it's all about, for healing. And we're also going to make it in a time of fun, and there'll be some tears, there'll be some laughter, there'll be some interaction. But the whole key to this event is for moms to see that they're not in the world by themselves. There are others out there that completely and absolutely knows what that individual is going through.
Wow, so needed. Chris?
It's hard for me sometimes to even articulate everything that I went through. I have to say there's a kind of loneliness there when you have lost a child. My son Max was in the military, in the Navy. On March 18th, 2020, I was working on my computer in the office and got a knock at the door. All I could see out the window by the office, in the office, was a patch on the person's arm, the Navy officer who came, or representative. And that is just emblazoned in my mind, that moment of seeing that patch. So I go to the door, and then from that point on, my life changed. They came in and informed me that he had passed away. And I mean, in a certain sense, I still can't wrap my head around it. And it's been almost 4 years. And I don't know that you ever can, really. I'm grateful for people like Rick, some other people who helped me heal through this process. But I have to say that healing continues. I mean, there's just no way to really be free of the pain and the sadness. I feel like I'm making my way through it, put it that way, for many different reasons.
I really appreciate you putting yourself out there because as Rick, I have adult children and I've not experienced this, and even the thought of it is overwhelming. So I can't imagine what it's like to go through and to be a representative for that group and then provide services for them. I know we've talked a lot about grief last year, especially, we're following up a lot with the COVID situation. Grief looks very differently with loss of people. Obviously, the loss of a child is one of the more powerful griefs I think that someone can have. And as a society, we don't do it well. I've had this conversation with people in my personal life, and we've had some brief conversation where you got your 2-day funeral leave and you need to jump in, go back to work and act as if you're okay and nothing's happened. And we don't do necessarily a good job of supporting that. And I did have a guest, Kim Coots, on, who also lost her daughter to an unexpected event. And she said, society doesn't know how to manage grief, but spirit does.
That's a good point.
So when I heard about the I Am Mom, I just got goosebumps as I said that. When I heard about the I Am Mom, I thought it's so important. It's so powerful. And there's so many people sitting out there feeling alone and isolated. I just want to get the message out. Do you guys think that you'll be doing more of these programs? I know this is sort of an inaugural one that you're jumping off. Knowing that there's so much loss and with everything that's going on, there's a lot of grief that looks different. We see, people grieve what they see on the news and, the other people and what's happening in the Middle East. Will there be different iterations of this to support people who are just really struggling?
That's our objective. This is the initial event. We wanted to see what kind of response we would have. When Chris and I started talking, we wanted to keep this kind of small and intimate, and we were looking at keeping it at a certain amount of attendees. We've reached that. If it grows in the next couple of weeks, because this is going to be on Saturday, February 3rd, if it continues if this kind of expands. My personal hope was that this is an event that is going to be created for future events. We're going to maybe expand it to dads. I am dad. Then I am parents, bring the parents in. There are those single parents out there that are going through this. And then there are couples who are in marriage or relationship that has a child that they've had to share this experience together. So that's our objective, is to create this where it'll be a yearly, either an annual for the I Am Mom or an annual for the I Am Dad or an annual. That's our objective. We're going to see how this goes. One of the things that we're seeing in this retreat is that there are those out there that still they're experiencing, but they want to keep it private. They don't really feel comfortable yet to be with others. But I feel like once we get this event out there and they start interacting with those who are experiencing the same as them, I really feel like it's going to grow. It's going to grow to where we might have to keep it small, but at the same time have more events than just one. That's my hope, because I really feel I was really pulled spiritually about this for the last several years. Every time I was meeting someone like Chris and we was receiving message spiritually of hope and faith, I really felt pulled to put something like this together. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to make changes for the individuals.
Could I just say, I feel humble about standing up in front of a group of other moms who have lost their children. And I also hope, my intention with the retreat is to make it protected environment where people feel safe to talk, and also feel like if they need to leave the room, they can. No one has to do any of the activities or stay. And maybe if you get just a piece of a piece, Piece, of peace, or a bit of it, maybe that's enough. I mean, through the course of these four years, I've taken several classes that were not the same, but somewhat, for grieving mothers. And there's something about being with another mom that is so different from anybody else who's lost a spouse, a friend. I mean, it's just different to share that grief with someone else who has walked the same path. So that is my hope and intention for my involvement in this retreat, that even like a little teeny, sentence or word that I say, and believe me, I'm humble about standing in front of a group and talking about it, knowing how hard that path is. I hope that there's some kind of peace that comes from whatever I can contribute.
Chris brought up a good point. We wanted to make this a place these moms can feel comfortable. That's why we selected the location where we're having it. It's in southern Indiana. It's called the French Lick Resort. It's an historic, iconic resort, beautiful resort. They're accommodating us very, very well. They got us our conference room. You step outside, there are sofas out there. There's in a beautiful area that if people, just like Chris said, wanted to leave the room for a little bit, step outside in the hallway, and right there are doors, goes out into the beautiful garden area. So it's just a beautiful location. That's the reason I picked that is because I want these individuals to come, these moms to come and really feel some peace, feel some comfort, feel some value. And so it's at the French Lick Resort. It's in French Lick, Indiana. That town is more known for the Larry Bird. If you look it up on the website, French Lick Resort is a beautiful resort. We're happy and excited to have this there. We're also going to have, like Chris said, we're going to have interactions there with each other. We're going to have activities. It's not just going to be Chris and I standing up there and talking. We've got a professional singer's going to come, and they're going to do an intro song, and one's a recording artist from Nashville, in Nashville, Tennessee, and they're going to come and do an intro song. We're going to have lunch, a hot plated lunch. I looked at the menu. I got hungry as soon as I looked at it. They're going to come in. They're going to cater to these moms. So I mean, we're going to really hopefully spoil these moms that are there that they so deeply deserve. I guess I can make this announcement on here. The recording artist has actually written a song to close for us for this event, and I've heard the song. It's a beautiful song. So there's just I'm kind of taking over here, but I wanted to share it because I'm really excited about this, as you can tell. But we're going to have really gifts for them when they get there, and then we're also going to have a drawing. And I've got some individuals they've donated their gifts to us to give. So we're going to have drawings, and I'm going to share with you one. One is from a professional artist. I happen to have a connection with him. He's a professional artist, resides in Florida. It's my brother, but he's very, very well known. His reputation is incredible. He's donated a couple of prints. I don't know if you can see this or not.
Wow.
That is one of it's a 16 by 20 watercolor print. It's an original print that he
Oh, yes, definitely beautiful birds.
created just for this event. I will tell you this, if he sold this, it would be several $100s for his print. We're just excited about it. But with all the fun things we're going to have, and Chris is going to do some interaction with the individuals, we're going to have breakout sessions as well. We've asked all the attendees to bring a photo of their loved one because we're going to do something special with that. We're just going to make this a day that hopefully that will bring, like Chris said, will bring peace and bring healing. And at the same time, when they leave there, they're going to feel spiritually inspired as well. I can't wait. I wish it was today. No, I better wait till tomorrow.
There you go.
Well, and don't forget, Rick, I was an art teacher for, 25 years. We are doing a small art project, and I think there's something about creating art. I know adults get terrified when they hear that they got to produce a piece of art, but it's going to be a judgment art piece. And even with that, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. You can go out and you can write a letter to your child. You can do something else that calls you that during that part of the event. But I also want to say, and this has happened to me because I have attended some of these events, I also left there with contacts that I can reach out to when I'm having those moments like holidays.
Yes.
Every mom who's lost a child understands how hard it is to get through a holiday. I am now able to reach out to other moms. As I said before, there's a kind of compassion and interest and knowing there when you have lost a child that is very helpful in those circumstances where you really need to reach out to someone, not necessarily a family or friend, a family member or friend, but someone who understands what it is you're carrying. Wanted to make that point.
That makes so much sense, and I really appreciate that you guys have expanded and expounded on what's going on and all the different offerings that go with this. This is just it's so powerful, it's emotional, it's so needed. All I keep thinking about are all the folks who sit in isolation that this would benefit. And I do want to put out there for those who may not make it to this event that you guys are looking at creating future events that this would still be the core issue that you're managing. So thank you so much. Very, very important work for sure. I would like to shift topics just a little bit. It's in there, but we're going to just sort of go with a more broad stroke kind of thing. This is more specific, and I have both of you here, so I wanted to take advantage of it. I have had the opportunity to work with each of you in the past with different initiatives related to spirituality. I feel like spirituality is really moving forward. I feel like spirituality is really coming more into the mainstream. And there's a lot of folks out there that are, I'll say, just awakening, becoming consciously aware, however you want to language what that feels like for them. But they're not really exactly sure what their spiritual selves, it's like nudging them and poking at them in different ways. And they're feeling maybe confused, they're feeling scared, it overwhelms them. What are your thoughts about that? Like how can we as a community of spiritual teachers who are putting ourselves out there to help support this population? What are your thoughts on how we can best do that?
Well, I guess what comes to mind is to think about what calls you particularly. I've been a yoga teacher now for 8 years. I've been certified. For me personally, it's kind of a strange thing. I told someone this a few days ago, but I teach yoga in a boys' prison. All my life as an art teacher, from the day I graduated from undergrad with my certification in art ed, I thought I'd be teaching in a prison at some point in my life, but I thought it would be art, like teaching painting or whatever. So I never dreamed it would work out to be yoga. I guess one of the points is to listen to those small voices in your head. You know, what is pulling you, even just taking yoga? There's so many facets of yoga, and yoga is a spiritual practice to me. I know that's not true for everybody, but it is for me. And especially when I'm in that setting teaching those boys, because I teach in a boys' prison, to me it's a calling, just like teaching is a calling. I guess my suggestion would be start listening to yourself, to what's popping into your head, what calls to you, what are the things that you are attending to. It is hard to put that first step out there for sure. The first time I went to a yoga class, I didn't take a yoga class till I was close to 60. So, maybe maybe a little before that, but still, I was scared to death to walk into that thing. And sometimes I had to pray in certain positions, please get me through this. but I did it, and I think there are lots of different things available to everyone out there to start on that path to spirituality. I guess the main message I'm trying to say here is just what calls to you today in this moment.
That I love that. I will have to tell you, I've only tried yoga twice. Once I got in a position and I literally fell over and was stuck in it and had to ask someone to get me out of it. Busted out laughing. That was it. I was done. I have not returned since then.
Oh, well, I teach on Monday and Tuesday nights and Thursday nights. If you need the link, everybody blacks out their screen, so I don't see anything. It's gentle yoga. And the people, actually, there are 12 people on my list, and some people join once a week, some once a month, but it's kind of no judgment yoga. And, it's a gentle yoga practice with meditation at the end of it. So if you ever want to jump back in, you're more than welcome.
Well, perhaps I need to revisit that. And I love that title, No Judgment Yoga. Actually, that speaks to me. Just real quick, I have to ask, the prison yoga for the juveniles, young men, how does that look? Like, what is the receptivity of that?
Well, the kids themselves, I mean, you'd be surprised. These are, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds. And, first time I walked into the group, time I was teaching, it's changed a little bit, but at the time I started, I was teaching a younger group, 12, 13, 14, and then an older group up to 18 or 19. And after the class with that older group, one kid said to me, I didn't think you'd be able to do yoga when you walked in here. And I said, well, that tells you not to judge people, right? Anyway, I mean, they're kids, they're teenagers. And I taught the same population in Cleveland when I was a teacher. I guess in a certain way, I'm used to it. On the other hand, so I take in like essential oil sprays every time I go there. And you'd think I was passing out gold to these kids. There's a lavender spray and a grounding spray. They ask me for it. I teach in a gym, so it's kind of a dirty place. But anyway, they're not asking for much. And, let's face it, you said it yourself, yoga can be kind of weird. I mean, I don't do any of the headstands or anything with these kids, but at first, some of them don't know what's going on. And they're kind of handpicked to be in there. They're not kids who have had disruptions over the last few days or whatever. They're pretty good kids, but I have to say, I teach usually on Wednesdays now. And this past Wednesday, a week ago, I had one class that just had one kid in it. I thought, okay. And I had left my phone in my coat pocket because I wasn't allowed to bring it in. So it was very quiet in a gym. But that kid, he did everything. And he came up to me later and said, thank you. I mean, they're so grateful for that time. All I can say is it's a calling for me. I get as much from it as they do, I'm sure. It's one of the things that has kept me moving along that path of healing, is to try to, I hate to use the word help, but to be with someone else and to give to someone else. It's service. I see it as serving these kids. That's kind of I guess that's my spiritual action as far as giving back to the community.
Well, that's beautiful. Like, it just speaks to me on so many levels. As I was listening to you talk, I thought, I have a fellow that I work with, and he always says 100% service to yourself is equal to 100% service to others. Both are equally as important. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's a concept that we don't often think about and can be difficult. Sure. Givers do great at giving, receivers do great at receiving, but to have both be equally important in your life, it looks like you're mastering that, so good for you. Rick, how about you?
Well, first of all, I learned something today. I thought she was like 39, so I didn't know she
Yeah, sure. Okay. Close.
I have been in this industry now for over 24 years and sharing my spiritual abilities. I was given at birth, and I have seen a tremendous shift spiritually, and not just spiritually, but worldly, just on this earth with the spirituality. We're seeing a lot of individuals becoming more and more open, saying there's got to be more than just life here. We attribute COVID as being something negative, but I feel that it was also a positive in that time in our lives as well, because I feel like what it did, it brought people to a time where they could stop their lives and say, okay, what is my life? What is life all about? And from that point, we actually saw a shift there where people were saying, I want to know more about me. I want to know more about, instead of being traditionally religious based, what is life? Where does life begin and where does it continue? With me and my abilities, it's been with me all my life where I know that there's a continuing life. I know the value of this life is so very valuable. But actually, what we've seen the last few years, I feel like there's been not just a shift, but an elevation. I had a friend share with me that, and this is what all of us know, these abilities are given to us for one reason only, and that's to serve. That's what it's all about. I had a friend share with me that there was a time in our time based in life just recently where it shifted, where those that connected with their spiritual selves have actually, not in an egotistical way, but in a humble way, have actually kind of been elevated above all that's going on in the society and the world today. It doesn't affect us. There's so many out there that are, and I wrote this morning on a post that, so many individuals, they get up in the morning, first thing they want to do is get on the news and check the news. And the news is media based and driven based by negative stories. What's going on is individuals are saying, we're tired of that. We're tired of being bombarded with negative. So those who are been given spiritually abilities to share and serve with others has kind of been elevated where we don't pay attention to those things. We're not sticking our head in the sand, but at the same time, we're recognizing that we need to be elevated in a spiritual way where we can serve others in a better way. And so that's what I've seen that's been going on for the last several years. I've had these abilities since the day I was born. The last 20 plus years has been, I feel like I'm the wise old man on the mountain now, because I got a lot of individuals coming to me, and I actually do spiritual advisement now and do spiritual life coaching because so many individuals are recognizing they have abilities like we share. So they're wanting to get more connected to them. They want to apply it in some way in their own life in some way. So I've seen elevation in that as well for the last few years. The last 8-9 years has been a shift here, and I think it's a good positive shift. I think individuals are saying, I'm not going to be this way anymore. I'm not going to look at the negative anymore. I want to start living a positive life. That's what's going on in this world right now, and I think it's fantastic.
You make a good point. So it's almost redefining compassion, right? So historically, when we were compassionate with people, we would bring our energy down to that person's energy so that we could feel their pain, we could feel what they're feeling. Yeah. Where the shift is now exactly what you said, to elevate the energy up and pull people up to a higher level versus meeting them down at a lower level. So right. I agree. It's really, it's pivotal, and it's a shift, and it's a redefinition of how we look at things. I'm just going to say it because in 2024, this is the third season for the podcast, and every show that I've dropped so far, I've made the statement, turn the TV off. It's one of the simplest things we can do is just sort of remove ourselves from that, because it's so easy to become addicted to it. Been wonderful. We've talked about spirituality, how we can use it to help navigate through personal pain and fear. The next thing I want to ask you is for people who are interested in working with you, what would that look like for each of you, and how would they get a hold of you?
Chris?
Well, as I said, right now I am teaching yoga for people who probably would never step a foot into a yoga studio. A lot of people do it on chairs or whatever. And as I said, the screens are all blacked out, which was weird to teach that way at first, but now I'm kind of used to it. Would need an email address for that. And I don't know how you would post my email address if anybody wants to get in touch with me.
I'll be putting all your information, and it'll be on the website, so people will be able to jump on the website, look under this episode.
Okay. And the other thing is, if there is a mom out there who would like to connect with me, or anybody else, because I don't just think it's moms who are carrying this loss. I think a lot of people are carrying things that they can't necessarily work through or talk about. I'm an open person, so if there's any way I can serve you, please reach out. I'll do what I can.
Thanks, Chris. How about you, Rick?
Being out in the public with these abilities now, and I always share this, the last 20 plus years, it's just been phenomenal for my life. I am living my purpose. I am living my path and purpose. And every day I wake up in the morning, I'll give you something from the life coaching that I share and to instill into your own life is when you wake up in the morning, when your eyes wake up to begin your day, before you jump out of bed and run down there and get the coffee and make sure the kids are getting ready for school, to just lay there for a few minutes and just think about Say thank you, first of all. Thank you for the day, because your day is not going to be like anyone else's. No one is going to have a day like you. It's created just for you. So thank you for that. Say thank you. You don't have to say it out loud. If you want to, that's fine. But then the next thing is to think of 3 good things that's in your life right at that moment. It may change each day, but think of 3 good things. And then when you begin your day don't forget to smile. Start with a smile as well, because scientists it's found, and they'll tell you that a smile works things in the brain and brings differences in the brain where it changes your attitude. Those are 3 simple things that everyone can do. I teach that's to add that to your repertoire in the mornings. For me, to reach out to me, I'm all over social media, literally all over social media. If you Google my name, I'm all over Google. I've got a website. My official website is lifesgift.com. There you'll find information about, I do private consultations through different sources. Thank goodness for technology, because I can do it in the comfort of your own home. We got live virtual streaming now, and do by telephone, the old-fashioned telephone, and then in person as well. And then I travel and I do different appearances and events. We just kind of finalized one yesterday morning. It's going to be in Northern Illinois. It's a place that I haven't been to about 2-3 years, but it's a special place for me, and we're going to make a special event there. So if you want to know more about what we're doing and more about my services, just go to lifesgift.com or go to social media. I'm all over social media, and we'll have that there as well. And I do, besides the psychic medium, which I think you're going to find, I always like sharing with everyone. When you come to me, I'm going to let those loved ones in spirit come and, I respect them. So I won't begin my session with you saying, who do you want me to channel? What's their first name or anything like that? I let those loved ones just come to visit with us, because they know what we're doing. We've got one right here right now that he's always around. Hi, Max. So,
Hi, Max.
Hey, Max, thanks for joining the show.
But besides that, I also have, the last 7-8 years, I provide a life coaching program called Believe to Be a Better You. And it's really literally have changed lives in the last 7-8 years that those have taken the program. And I'm very proud of that as well. Just get on the internet, look me up, because I'll be around.
Well, I appreciate that. And I'll be honest with you, Rick, I follow some of your social media, and that's how I found out about the I Am Mom, and I reached out to you. So
yeah.
You don't know what you don't know unless you put yourself out there.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to end the show. Any last thoughts for the listeners that you would like to put out there?
I just want to state, I wish everyone listening, and those maybe who tune in later, I wish you peace on your journey and help to carry whatever you're carrying, and smiles too.
And we begin this podcast with talking about the I Am Mom event. We have a few tickets still available. You can find access to our ticket distributor through the lifesgift.com, and also through the social media. They're on social media. If you want to experience something that we feel is going to bring some healing and, like Chris said, peace to you, and to interact with those other moms, this is your opportunity, and we would be forever grateful to have you to be a part and to join us there. The other thing is I wanted to share is that this is a time for us all, and I say all because we all have spiritual abilities in some way. This is a time for us at this moment, right this moment, at this time, to really get connected with our own spiritual self. And like I shared earlier, to elevate so that we can make this world a better place. We're here to live and to value this life and to experience this life and grow in this life and evolve in this life. I'm always going in my conversation with this. Believe.
Could I just make one more statement? I do want to say that a mom who has miscarried too is welcome to come. Sometimes those moms in particular feel left out of these kinds of things, but I do feel like that should be stated so that those women understand that they are welcome too.
Thank you, Chris. I'm glad you brought that point up, because we begin as a spirit and a soul. When we're placed into the womb of the mom, we begin evolving our physical bodies so that we can learn and grow and experience this part of what I call earthly life. Those who have experienced a passing of a child before before the child even got to be birthed or walk on the earth. That is still a passing, and there's a reason and a value for the reason why you had that child and was with that child at that time. But it is still a heartbreak to have a child pass, even in a miscarriage. And moms out there who have experienced this had this experience, always know that child is your child forever. Just because it didn't get a walk on the earth doesn't mean it isn't your child. It is your child. So absolutely, Chris, thank you for bringing that up, because that is a part of the reason why we are having this event and doing what we're doing at this time as well, for those who have never got to hold their child. Thank you for that, Chris.
I want to thank you guys both for joining us. Thanks, Rick. Thanks, Chris. I've really enjoyed this time.
Been fun. It's went fast.
It did go really fast. It's been great, and I do look forward to, I'm sure that we will cross paths and meet again. And then I want to thank all our listeners out there for taking time out of their day to join us. We appreciate you. We love you. And remember, embrace that wild soul.
Thank you, Cassandra, for hosting us too. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Wild Soul Gatherings Happy Hour for the Spiritually Curious. To learn more about our guests, please go to our website, wildsoulsgathering.com. We're very eager to hear from our listeners what you thought of the episode, topics you might like us to cover in the future, your thoughts on spirituality, questions you may have. Please feel free to send us an email at wildsoulsgathering@gmail.com. This is your host, Dr. Sandra Marie, sending each of you peace and love. Until we meet again, embrace your wild soul.